Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're taking a look at Corsair's rather premium headset. This is the Virtuoso RGB Wireless XT. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so in today's video we'll be taking a look at Corsair's premium headset. This is the Virtuoso RGB Wireless XT. Now this is actually an upgraded model from the previous version, which was the Virtuoso RGB Wireless. The XT version basically adds a few more features, a few more connectivity options, and also it now includes Dolby Atmos. So if you're into watching films or just want to experience really high fidelity audio in your gaming PC, your work PC, your video editing PC, or maybe even on your mobile phone, Xbox or PlayStation, then these may just be the right thing for you. Now at the moment there is a significant discount at the moment at Amazon.co.uk, and these were actually purchased by UglyBob. He sent them to us to review first of all before we send them on back to him. He saved a pretty decent amount of money. At the moment they're about £173. They generally retail for somewhere in around the £250 price mark. In the US, roughly about the same sort of thing, about $270, that kind of thing. Obviously there are rebates and discounts, etc. But do they actually warrant the price tag? That is what we'll be trying to discover today, and you'll get my opinions. We'll go through, do a quick unboxing, see what you get, talk about some of the pros and cons, the features, etc. And then we'll wrap up with my final thoughts. We'll also do a microphone test as well, so you can hear what the microphone is like. Obviously this is potentially a gaming headset, so you want to know if you're going to be able to be heard clearly and cleanly by your compadres. So anyway, let's get straight on with it. So we'll start off first of all looking at the packaging. So as you can see, very premium looking Corsair packaging here. We've got the Dolby Atmos logo there, and also we've got dual wireless. So essentially this has got four main ways of connectivity. So the first one is going to be via USB Type-C, which is directly into the headphones, which then converts into a USB Type-A. Plug it into your PC, you can experience 24-bit 96,000 Hz sound, pure and simple, straight into your headset. And I've got to be honest with you, I've been using that today, watching some movies and listening to some music, and it sounds phenomenal. It really does sound absolutely amazing. Another way you can do it, which sounds equally as good, is going to be via the 3.5mm jack, which is included in the packaging. And again, as you would normally, using a TRS connection, plug it into a device. If you plug it into a TRS, you're only going to get the headphones. Plug it into TRRS, and you'll get headphones and microphone. So obviously those are options there. Plugging it into an Xbox controller, absolutely no problems at all. The other option is via the wireless method. So there's actually two wireless methods, one of which is Corsair's proprietary technology, their Slipstream, and with that you can connect up additional devices. So maybe you've got a Slipstream keyboard, Slipstream mouse, and you've got your Slipstream compatible headset. So you can combine all of those into one unified receiver. Absolutely brilliant. If for some reason you don't want to use that, you can actually use Bluetooth as well. So it is fully Bluetooth 5.0 compatible and actually supports some actually really decent protocols. We've got SBC, so standard Bluetooth protocol. We've also got AAC for your iPhones, that kind of thing, iPads. You've also got aptX and also aptX HD. Sadly, no aptX LL for low latency. But I think for most people, if you're actually using aptX on a Bluetooth device, you're doing it because you want the quality. You're not particularly bothered about the latency. Speaking of latency, if you are using it via the technology in the Slipstream, which is 2.4 gigahertz, latency isn't a problem at all. And actually watching YouTube content, watching movies, there is no obvious lag whatsoever, and all the speech is perfectly lip synced. So anyway, back to the box. So high fidelity gaming headset with spatial audio. So effectively, yeah, these days, especially for some higher end systems, they don't really refer to 5.1 or 7.1. We've kind of stepped past that, and now we're into the kind of Dolby range. So Dolby Atmos is basically a positional sound system. So rather than having 7.1 speakers, basically the entire soundstage is with you. So there's not one specific speaker. You can localize sound in any particular area, and they virtualize that through the two 50mm drivers actually in the headset. And I've got to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting much, but it does sound flipping awesome. Watching even some older films where you can use this within Windows, you can install the Dolby Access software, go in there, you can tinker and tailor the sound profile to your exact liking. And I was watching Back to the Future, which is a film from, well, quite a long time ago, 1985 I believe it was, or somewhere around then. And the soundstage is absolutely phenomenal. Now, it's possibly been remastered. It was on Amazon.co.uk, on Amazon Prime, but it sounded absolutely brilliant. The DeLorean the DeLorean actually reversing out of the truck at the beginning of the movie, it just sounded really, really growling, and the sound of the DeLorean engine, that V8, sounded absolutely beautiful. You could hear the tyres on the tarmac, all those kinds of things. There's lots of little things that you're going to notice using Dolby Atmos that you possibly haven't discovered before, because the soundstage would have been a lot flatter, whereas this kind of brings things into the foreground, so you notice things a lot better. Anyway, moving on from that, on the back of the box, so it goes through more of the specifications. We'll give you some close-ups to that, but essentially we're looking at Bluetooth technology, again Bluetooth 5.0, Qualcomm aptX HD. We've also got Slipstream technology, as we discussed, and it's fully supported in iQ software. Now, the beauty of this is you don't have to install iQ. Now, me personally, I dislike iQ with a passion. Never got on with it. It just confuses the bejesus out of me, so I try not to install it if I can. This is great. You don't have to install it to get the best out of it. And in fact, in a Windows environment, if you just want to set it up with the drivers and install the Dolby Atmos software, you're golden. You've got everything you need there. You've got the same features, so you have got a graphic equalizer, which you can adjust in both. The only real thing would be changing the iQ software in terms of addressable RGB, of which we have got lots of addressable RGB. In fact, there's three main areas, so there is an RGB area on each one of the ear cups, and also actually on the microphone itself on the end. It's a multi-purpose LED on the end here, so when you're actually using it in voice comms, you can have it green to say you're live, red to say that it's disabled, and when it's not in use, then it just goes to the RGB colors that you've set in the software, or just defaults to rainbow puke. Something else it mentions on the back of the box, which I haven't really gone into much detail, is the actual quality of the drivers themselves. So they're 50mm drivers. They have been factory matched apparently, so that there is equal quality as you can possibly get, perfectly matched to get that really good sound quality. And they're using high quality neodymium magnets, which is very hard for me to say, but still I think I've managed to get away with it. Right, I've gone on way too long. Let's get inside this box and see what we actually get. Now, when you actually open the box for the first time, which I've done already, clearly, because the headset is out, it's a really nice unboxing experience. So you've got the Corsair bag in there. The headphones normally are twisted flat, so they do actually twist flat if you want them to. And normally this bit is detached. So when you kind of open it all up, so you've got this really nice presentation box. It just looks really good, and obviously it shows you straight away that these can fold flat for storage. So we'll take the headset out of the way for now. We'll take a closer look at that shortly after we've gone through the rest of what we get in the box. So we get the Corsair bag, like I said, and actually, for those of you that are into your Corsair stuff, if you've seen some of the HS series headsets, you'll notice that the actual kind of waffle design on this bag is actually the same as the headset band, so that's kind of nice. Shame it's not actually with the HS set, but still, there you go. Underneath that, we've got the Corsair box. So in here, we've got the Virtuoso USB Wireless XT user guide and all the kind of terms and conditions of use of software, etc. And then we've got our cables. So we've got a nice bunch of cables here. You've got a USB Type-C for charging or just direct connectivity. Clearly, it is a wireless device. There is a battery in there. It lasts up to about 15 hours on a full charge at around about 75% volume. So yeah, it's going to be absolutely fine there, but you can use that for just standard connectivity if you're not using wireless. Also included is the Slipstream Receiver or transmitter or transceiver, whatever the case may be. Normally in this section here, you'd have the microphone. So you've got this really nice boom style microphone. Again, it does actually connect on a very unusual connection, which I've not seen in a long time, and it's mini USB. So they've actually used mini USB to connect it, which actually is quite a robust connector. They used to use it a lot on mobile phones many, many years ago, and card readers and things for PCs. So again, that's absolutely fine. Also included is a 3.5mm to 3.5mm jack adapter, and it's actually got an inline controller as well. So if you're using this on a 3.5mm jack, Xbox controller, PC, hi-fi, whatever it is, then you've got that inline controller. You've got a mute switch for the microphone, which shows up red when it's muted, and also you've got a twist wheel to adjust the volume on the fly. Absolutely brilliant. Right then, so let's get back to taking a look at the headset itself. So some of the features of this, the kind of upgraded XT version over the previous version, the headband itself, they've made wider, so less clamping pressure on your head. This can be a good thing or a bad thing. Personally, I think I prefer it with more clamping force. I find when I'm actually wearing it, it's nice, it feels snug, it doesn't want to move around, and shaking the head doesn't want to wobble off. But for actual noise cancelling or passive noise cancelling, would have been nice to have a little bit of a more snug feeling. You can actually hear pretty much everything around you when you've got these on at kind of lower volume levels. In a Windows environment, if I've got the volume set to somewhere in the region of about 15 to 20, then normally I can hear most things around. If someone says something to me, I can hear. I did actually prove a point earlier when I was testing these, had it set to about 35, 40, and George came in and apparently he was talking to me for a little while and I had no idea he was there. So obviously they're not noise cancelling in terms of active noise cancelling, and even in terms of passive noise cancelling, they don't do a particularly good job. But as you raise the volume levels, of which these do actually get very loud, they're pretty easy to drive, especially on that USB Type-C connection. That is something actually you will find if you're using on a wired connection, both 3.5mm and USB-C, they are definitely slightly louder and more fuller bodied sound than what they are over both Slipstream, Bluetooth, and basically the wireless technologies. So do bear that in mind. So yeah, noise cancelling, not great unless the volume's up a little bit louder. The cups themselves, you've got this kind of fake leatherette on there. The cups themselves are a little bit on the shallow side. This is memory foam on there, so it is comfortable, but you may find if you've got slightly larger ears or ears that kind of point out somewhat, then because there is quite a shallow depth there, you may find your ears actually resting against the driver. There is a foam padding there as well, so it's not the end of the world. It's just after prolonged periods. I was using it for about 2 hours, 2-3 hours, constantly, watching films and then listening to music. And even after taking them off, I didn't feel fatigued or pain. It wasn't to that point where I was like, oh, I need to take these off my head. They're driving me mad. And not very hot and sweaty either. So they do seem to breathe quite nicely, which is awesome. There's a lot of adjustment on them as well, which is really nice. So you've got your 180-degree movement either way on both of the cups. On top of that, you've got tilt as well, actually on the cups themselves. And then, of course, you've got some adjustability on the side, which is all nicely numbered up. So if there is a specific setting for your particular noggin which you like, so maybe you're a number 5, set it to a number 5, and you can stick it on, and it feels great. I think I'm a number 5. So no, really nice band, extra padding. They've added extra padding in this. So along with it being wider, obviously because it being wider, depending on the shape of your head, this is going to rest more so on your head. If you've got hair, unlike me, then you'll probably find that's even more padded, but even so, it is quite nice and wide. And there is actually a very discreet Corsair logo on the top there, which is, that's actually something which, these are kind of touted as being a gamer's headset, whereas I would actually say they probably aren't. I would say they're more like a hybrid. So there's something of a, what I would call a lifestyle headset and a gaming headset. So if you wanted to wear these in the office, people aren't going to look at you like you're a weirdo just because you've got a little bit of RGB on the side, which of course you can turn off if you want to in the software. But they don't actually look that out of place. You could wear these in office, working away. I don't think anyone would bat an eyelid. Certainly walking down the street, no one would be kind of pointing and staring at you, although they may be admiring you. But I don't think they'd think you're somewhat of a lunatic. The nice point being, obviously, if you are using these in a kind of lifestyle mode, inverted commas, you can remove the microphone. Clearly, if you're walking down the street with the microphone attached, yeah, people probably going to be looking at you slightly oddly. The microphone itself actually fits in quite nicely. It is a little bit fiddy the first couple of times you do it, but once it's on there, it's all good. And nice flexible boom so you can move it. So if you've got a slightly quieter voice, you can get the mic in a little bit closer. If you're slightly more boomy or bassy like me, then you can move it away. And actually, probably a good idea if we actually listen to what the microphone sounds like. So here are some recordings I took earlier of me just basically reading through the Amazon listing. So let's listen to that. This is a sound test of the Corsair Virtuoso RGB Wireless XT High Fidelity Gaming Headset with spatial audio, simultaneous dual wireless connections, PC, Mac, PS5, Switch, mobile and wired Xbox Series X and S compatibility. So this is from the Amazon listing. You can see the current price here. This is of the 1st of April 2022. Current price reduced down from the original £249.99 down to £173.99 plus free returns. You save 76%. So quite a hefty discount on those at the moment. And as you can see, there's various options available. These are a over-ear style, and this is the Corsair Virtuoso RGB XT. So sound test, Peter picked a piece of pickled pepper. Peter picked a piece of pickled pepper. So I think you'll agree, although they actually tag this as being broadcast quality, it depends what you're broadcasting. If you're broadcasting a podcast or something like that where it's a little bit kind of rough around the edges, I think you're going to be absolutely fine. It's certainly, there's nothing horrible about it, and it's not disgusting in any way. It isn't as good as something like the Mod Mic Wireless, which you can check out from the information cards. That is actually a fantastic device. This comes close to it, I'll be fair, and is arguably one of the better boom mics I've heard from a headset in a very long time. So definitely it is very good, but broadcast quality, I think, in this day and age is a very broad term, as in broadcast, I guess. Something nice actually about the microphone, the mute button, everything's actually really tactile on this, so we should actually take a look at the buttons. So actually the mute button is on the mic itself, so you can press that. When you mute it, you get the red light on the front. When it's in use, it's green. When it's not in use and the mic's not active, etc., it goes into RGB puke mode. You can turn all that off as well if you want to in the IQ software. Next to the microphone port, there is actually the 3.5mm jack plug, so that's TRS or TRRS, depending on which format you want to use. Again, if you use TRS, you're going to get headphones only. TRRS, you'll get headphones and microphone. Next to that is the USB Type-C charging point. Also, that doubles up as wired connectivity, so you can plug it in as a USB headset into Windows devices, PS4s, that kind of stuff. If you look on the other side, this is actually a really cool part. There is a really, really nice volume wheel, and actually it's probably one of the nicest volume wheels I've ever experienced on a headset. I'll give Corsair their dues there. This is something else, it really is. So you go up and down, and it makes complete sense because you roll it upward, it gets louder, you roll it downward, it gets quieter. It's just the simple things like that which make a lot of sense. But the actual roller itself, it's a nicely knurled wheel, and it's got a really nice grip to it, but it doesn't have a stop. It just keeps on going. So it's a digital kind of roller or switch rather than being an analog one. So you can keep on rolling. So in some ways it's bad because obviously a lot of people like to kind of set it to 0, then they know exactly how many scroll ups they've got to do to get to a certain volume level. I know I've kind of done that myself before now. You kind of know where your volume levels are. But with this, you don't really have to worry because you just roll it and it works absolutely fine. Next to that, there is the USB or wireless mode. So in USB mode, obviously for wired or 3.5mm or your USB connection. If you switch it across, then goes into wireless mode, you get a bleep on there and it goes into Bluetooth mode, and you can see the RGB has come on, and actually on the sides. The RGB is actually really faint on the sides themselves. And it's actually, I'm not too sure how they've done it, because I'll give you some close-ups of this. It looks like it's an LED screen or an LCD screen. I'm sure I can see pixels in there, but it could just be where they've got this kind of machined finish over the top of an LED, but it just looks really premium. It almost looks like the kind of things you'd see on an AIO cooler, where some of the older ones where you'd have like an LCD thing on there. But yeah, it does look very premium, as does all of it, to be honest with you. The weight of them, actually, we should mention about the weight quickly while I think of it. Weight-wise, 385 grams, I think it is. If that's wrong, I'll put it underneath. It's either 380 or 385, it's somewhere in that region. So considering this is pretty much all metal construction, the sides, the arms, even the band inside, etc., it's all solid metal. Well, aluminium, I should say, to be precise, lightweight aluminium. Yeah, under 400 grams is actually pretty good for 50mm drivers and a metal frame. So yeah, that is very good. Anyway, so back to the connectivity. So you get the flashing LED on there to tell you what's going on, when it's charging, when it's charged, etc. Next to that, you've got the wireless option mode. So you've got volume up and down. So if you're in the wireless mode, or Bluetooth, you can go plus and minus, press and hold, fast forward tracks, etc., etc. The middle button is your kind of multi-function for answering calls, play pools, all that kind of stuff. Again, you can configure a lot of that stuff in the IQ software, should you be brave enough to install it. I think that is pretty much it for the headset itself. I don't think there's anything I've actually missed on here. The only thing really I would say with this is the sound quality is excellent. There's no getting away from that. Now recently, well, I say recently, probably a few months ago now, we reviewed the HS70 Pros from Corsair, actually Bob's as well. Those were phenomenal also. They do lack some of the connectivity options of this, and the build quality is basically a completely different look. But in terms of audio quality, they're not a million miles apart. but on a price basis, they kind of are. So I think with these, if you can get them as a reduced bargain, I mean, anything other than their recommended retail price, these are definitely worth looking at. In terms of in the marketplace, I did have a look around. There's probably about 4 or 5 headsets in the same sort of price category with similar features. None of them really look nice. There was a Razer one, which I didn't really like the look of. I'm not going to say any specific models or brands because I think that's unfair at this point. But this, for me, works in a lot of ways. For gaming, obviously, yeah, not a problem because you're probably going to be at home or maybe a LAN party, something like that. They look fine. They've got a bit of RGB to give you that gamer cred. If you're using them in the office, they look super stylish. So people are going to probably be coming up to you and saying, oh, those are nice headphones. What are they? Where'd you get them? They are going to be a talking point. They do look kind of, I don't want to say sexy because that's a stupid thing to say about a set of headphones, but actually they are kind of sexy. Anyway, that is going to be pretty much it for this one. Sound-wise, they're phenomenal. Obviously, Dolby Atmos is one of the best protocols you can use in terms of Windows soundstage, all that kind of stuff. They sound great. If you like movies, you're going to love them. If you like music, you're going to love them even more. The bass frequency from standard is relatively flat. So if you're a bass junkie, you are going to definitely want to go into the Dolby Access app or even IQ software and just tweak those levels a little bit more, just bring it up a little bit in the bass section. I should actually quickly talk about the frequency range as well. These support from 20 Hz up to 40 kilohertz, which is very unusual. Normally you go 20 Hz to 20 kilohertz. The human hearing, I don't think, goes much higher than somewhere in the 20s anyway. So audibly, you're probably not going to hear those extra frequencies. But like most things in audio, it's not what you actually can hear. It's more what you can feel, especially when it comes to certain tones. That's why people listen to, obviously, vinyl records, because there's just something about vinyl that is more than just the music. It's the feeling. And having the extra frequencies in here, definitely when watching movies, it does seem to be a more open stage. And it does, with that Dolby Atmos as well, it just, yeah, it sounds great, it really does. My suggestion would be look for bargains, and we'll definitely be linking some of those in the video description below. So do check those out for local pricing. If you can get a discount on these, I think they're definitely worth looking at. At the full price, I think you do have to look very, very hard at other alternatives. But certainly, if you can get them on a reduction, 5 out of 5, definitely. So there we go. That has been my opinion on the Corsair Virtuoso RGB Wireless XT. What a fantastic name. How did he come up with it? Anyway, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.